It's disgusting. It is pouring with rain. So all the jobs that I planned to do outside, like I wanted to paint below the waterline, are not going to happen. So I'm going to get a load of jobs done inside instead. And look who's here. Jonathan is here with loads of equipment as usual. On my phone here, I've got a whole list of jobs that I can do on a rainy day, but I'm not going to tell you what they are, because as soon as I tell you what jobs I'm intending to do, I'll flipping jinx myself, and I'll start the first job and I won't be able to finish it, and then I'll start the second job and I won't be able to finish it. So I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to start doing jobs and then we'll see what happens. Now, Jonathan is starting to look at the process of reinstalling our swinging keel. If you remember the keel that we've got on this boat, we've got a full length keel, the whole length, and then we've got a big heavy keel that sits on a pin that swings down and is lifted up by a winch. Now we need to reinstall that keel. We can't do it today, but we've got to do some preparation work for that. So Jonathan is just looking at the keel pin. This is the end cap that the keel pin sits on, and the original bolts that hold the end cap onto the keel, look, were completely corroded to bits. So I've ordered a whole load of brand spanking new machined bolts. I had to have them specially machined to the right thread, and they go through and into the keel. And then we also, because the keel box is now fractionally narrower than it was, you see these shims that are on either side, these stainless shims. We're going to have to make some pretty accurate measurements and cut these down so that this is now slightly narrower than it was. We know the keel will go in because the keel is that wide, but these little shims on either side need to be taken back slightly to allow the keel to go into its new box. Jonathan's working on that. I've still got one more chain plate, the forward lower chain plate that we need to weld in place. So I need to cut away some of the timber in there to allow access to that area.
We are Andy, Melissa, Jack and Oliver.
We've spent the last few years preparing to head off sailing to every corner of the world.
A few years ago we bought this huge steel yacht as a project.
But when Ollie came along, we needed a bigger boat with more cabins.
So now we're working on both boats,
Getting Ocean Melody ready to go,
getting Steel Melody ready to launch so that we can sell her.
to put some much needed funds back in the kitty for when we set sail.
In here is the big hanging locker, and the chain plate is behind this piece of wood. So I need to remove that. I need to cut away, there's some old screws that held up the curtain rail in here. I need to cut those away. And I need to remove this piece of wood and possibly even this trim around the window. What a shame. But it's got to come out to allow me access to weld the new chain plate on. I've got all of the timber off now from up here. I don't know if you can see, but all the other chain plates come through the coach roof and are actually welded on around the outside and around the inside. The forward lowers though are not. Look at this. Can you see this slightly darkened area here? That there is just the HAZ line, the heat affected zone. It's sort of, but it's where the heat has transferred through the metal, showing that the chain plate doesn't come through all the way to the inside like it does in the saloon. Got to clean up these little bits, but that's fine. But what it means now is that we can, tomorrow if the weather's better, we can weld this chain plate on because it won't be setting fire to anything. Now up here in the forepeak, covered in stuff. Up here in the forepeak, there is a chain plate for the baby stay. There's 4 strange bolts for some attachment that used to be there that's no longer there. But the chain plate is about 6 centimetres forward of that. So I exposed that area and look what I found. Here are the 4 strange bolts that hold on a plate for something. I presume an old anchor windlass or something. But that's no longer there. But this area is where the chain plate goes. And you can just see that's where the stringer is welded to the deck. And the chain plate again welds on just basically there and goes forward into the chain locker, which is a good thing because obviously there's no cork insulation in the chain locker. So I've cut this bit away, so when we weld the chain plate on we don't have to worry about setting light to the cork. Now as for the chain locker, I want to give it a good clean and a fresh coat of paint. I think that would be nice. Right, I have actually cleaned out the whole of the anchor locker. It took me bloody ages. I've cleaned it, I've vacuumed it, I've wiped it all down with thinners. It's as clean as it's going to be, and I've mixed up some Jotun 87 049 standard red, which is a super tough paint, and I'm going to climb in there, and I can't show you me painting in there. It's going to be difficult enough not to spill paint all over myself as it is. I'll just have to show you what the anchor chain locker looks like when it's all been painted out. Right, well that was bordering on dangerous. Painting inside that chain locker, obviously I've got masks and, you know, this kind of stuff, but without a proper air-fed respirator, you know, they're not terribly effective, those things. I'll give you a quick look. It's not finished because I've got to the point where I can't paint anymore without leaning on stuff I've already painted, but just as a quick squint, the chain locker now looks kind of like that, okay? And see up there, I've not painted that because I can't paint that because I have to lean on that. But you get the idea. We're getting there. The boat is very, very fumy because Jonathan has also been painting the steelwork around the port lights in the saloon because we've cleaned all that up, taken the insulation down. The way that we constructed this boat originally was really, really good when we did the rebuild, because we made everything so that it could come apart with a screwdriver. Hence the wall panels can come down, the ceiling panels can come down, we can take the insulation off, treat the window frames, put everything back up. Job's a good one. So those chain plates, as you can see, this is what I was saying earlier, the chain plates come down through the deck head, down through the coach roof, whereas the one in the locker there doesn't. Anyway, I digress. We're going to go and have a sandwich and some fresh air. Mission report. That was really, really stupid. I feel extremely sick, extremely ill, extremely dizzy. I was inside the forward chain locker, should have been using air-fed, you know, pressurized breathing apparatus, and I wasn't, and I was painting with epoxy, and it was a very, very stupid thing to do. I felt myself feel lightheaded. I came out, and since then I've been feeling extremely nauseous. I think I'm fine, but I feel really ill. In the meantime, I shan't be doing that again. That was a catastrophically stupid thing to do, and I won't be doing it again. Fortunately, it's done now, all bar, you know, a brush full from an arm's length somewhere down the line. To get to the bits I couldn't get to, but I can do that from outside the chain locker, just at arm's length, you know, with a brush. In the meantime, Jonathan has been painting out some of the saloon, and he's now tackling those stuck bolts in the keel. We're using a judicious application of heat and Stilsons to try and get those stuck studs out. Oh, look at that. And they are coming out. Amazing. I knew they would. Hot, hot, hot. Got mole grips. Yes, hot, hot, hot. So I think Jonathan's been using that, not the bottle of fizzy pop. I think the gas is probably been more useful for this. Lovely. Yeah, we're on. On battery drills, a lot of people don't know this, but you might do, so forgive me if you do. There's normally a torque setting, which means that you can turn the torque down so that it won't strip threads. So if you ever hear me drilling screws into woodwork and you hear it going and it sounds like I'm stripping the end of the screw, I'm not. I've just got the torque setting down. So if you turn it to the highest setting, 22 on this one, which is drill, it's just going to keep going and keep going and keep going. But I'm turning this down because I want the torque of the drill to give up before I snap the tap in the job. So what I can do with this now is run the tap in, run the tap out, run the tap in, run the tap out. And can you hear that? That's the drill not forcing it. That's probably enough actually, because these might have reached the end point anyway. Obviously I've got a bit of rust cleanup to do there as well. So that now goes on there. I'll adjust the depth of the pin so that I've got a couple of threads showing, because if you notice this one's fine, it's got some thread showing out the end of the nut. These haven't, so I need to adjust the depth of the pin. It goes all the way in, so I can pull the pin out slightly, so I've got a little bit more thread showing this end. But that is a success.
The next job on the agenda was to mount our sheet winches in the cockpit. We've got a pair of Harken 53 3-speed winches which we got from Sailing Yacht Zora. To check out their YouTube channel, go to the link on the screen. Then we've got a pair of Lumar 30 2-speed winches for the staysail, and then at the aft end we've got a small winch for the roller reefing. We wouldn't normally mount winches using sealant like we are doing, but we really want to prevent water ingress, so the sealant is just to stop water getting in through the mounting holes, which again we're using 316 marine grade stainless steel bolts, washers and nylock nuts.
You may or may not be able to tell, but it's going dark. Cameras are usually pretty good at hiding that kind of stuff. It is going dark. So we're going to finish up here. I'm going to stop filming and then we'll see you tomorrow morning. So, and tomorrow Andy should be coming to join us as well. So don't go away, back kind of now. And just like that, we're back on the boat. It's the following morning. Now Andy's about to arrive. Jonathan's just prepping to start work on the last two final chain plates. So we've got those two to do. I want to weld on some studs for the anchor windlass. There's a couple of little sort of add-ons that we're just adding on at the minute. And then I'm hoping to do some painting on the deck and coach roof, because so far she's only been done in primer. First things first though, I want to give the whole deck a bit of a hose down and a sweep, because of course it's winter here, everything's a bit green, everything's a bit manky. So I'm going to give the deck a hose down and brush off any of the old rubbish that's accumulated over winter. So the deck's all clean, or cleanish. I've got most of the grime and muck and horribleness off. John is now starting to grind off the remainder of that little chain plate. Andy's just arrived. He's going to get some spanners to get the stanchion posts off, because I want to be able to clean those areas up, make sure there's absolutely no rust whatsoever when I come to paint this afternoon. And the plan for today is John and Andy and I are going to work on getting the welding done, the chain plates and round the bowsprit and the threaded bar, the chain plates and the threaded bar for the anchor windlass this morning. Then John and Andy are going to work on around the keel pin again, running the TIG weld around to neaten out that weld. And while they're doing that, I'm going to start flattening the paint back here, just keying it, and then painting out the coach roof and the side deck. I'll do the white first, and then I'll start doing the grey non-slip when that's dry. So the boat is now dangerous again because, as you can see, there's no guardrail forward of there now. So technically, this is working at height. So technically, we should have harnesses and ropes or some form of protection, but we don't. So this is sketchy. I'm going to do some sketchy whatever. So we've just got to be super careful now, make sure that nobody falls off. Not a lot of welding to do. 2 chain plates and a couple of other little add-on bits like the bolts for the anchor winglets, as I say. And then I can start flatting and painting. Exciting stuff. Status report. All the welding is done. The baby stay chain plate is in, the forward lower's in. The studs for the windlass we're not going to weld on because it turns out that they're sheared off, but they're actually tapped and threaded, so that's a job for a different day. And also Andy has welded all the way around the bowsprit, so that's fantastic. So what I can now do is start cleaning up, ready for painting. I've already been round and touched up. I've got some very fast drying direct to metal high build epoxy primer, which I've put on just the areas that we've cleaned up, and then we'll be ready to put the top coat on. Now all I'm doing today, I'm doing the high gloss areas that are not the grippy grey. So I'm going to be putting a substrate, like a grippy substrate, into some grey paint for the non-slip areas, and I'm doing that next time. Today is going to be the high gloss areas, the borders if you like. Yeah, stop. We are in a position to start painting. Now, all we're doing is the gloss white areas around the tow rail and around cleats and around that kind of stuff. The grip areas, which are going to be non-skid, are going to be done next time. So I'm back on Stale Melody again, and yet again it's bloody awful weather. So I'm limited to what I can do outside. It's raining very heavily in bursts, but at the moment, precisely this second, it is not raining. So I'm going to try and fit those stanchion posts that I gave up on last time because they were winding me up. Let's go and fit. I've just been outside and fitted the ones on the starboard side, and then I thought, oh, I'm not filming this, so I'll go and grab the camera and do the ones on the port side. What do you think of these? Stainless grab rails, look at that. Really? Walking along the side of the pilot house, a heck of a lot safer. Stainless and the mild steel, I'm using nylon washers so that there's minimal contact between the actual stainless steel and the mild steel. It might not make much of a difference, and on a steel boat, wherever you bolt stainless on, you're going to eventually have problems. But I'm hoping it'll help a little bit. Right, check this out. Sorry about the wind. Horrible weather, so I'm using the GoPro, not the Sony, so the wind noise reduction is good. The boat has now got stanchion posts on properly mounted, and all of the white is painted around the side decks and the coach roof, ready for the grey nonce. Obviously I can't do it in this weather. It's now, with the grab rails and the pulpit rails, it's now safer to be walking around on deck. Amazing. And with that completed, I'm going to close the episode there. Thank you so much to you guys for watching, but thank you so much to Jonathan and Andrew for coming to help. I think Andrew's actually coming back again tomorrow to help me continue with the keel box, because believe it or not, we still have problems with the keel box. Nothing massive, but we're still working on it. So thank you so much to Jonathan and Andrew for the huge amount of help that you're giving me at the moment. It's just, it's such a huge help. I can't thank you enough. Thank you for watching. Thank you to our patrons who are here, who support us week in, week out. We couldn't be making these videos without you. Just to be clear, if the YouTube videos and Patreon provide a little bit of income, just enough for us to live on. If we didn't make the YouTube videos and didn't have Patreon, we would stop the video making, because we would have to get online work doing data entry on websites or something like that to make a little bit of money. So we'd still carry on doing what we're doing, but the videos would stop. So when YouTubers say, thank you to our patrons for making these videos possible, that's actually true. Because without the revenue from Patreon and YouTube, we just wouldn't make the videos, other than for our own enjoyment and our own pleasure. We'd go and get other online work to support what we're doing. And the amount of work that we put into the videos is massive. So, it really does take a lot of time, and it really is appreciated that we can make a bit of a living making videos of the work that we do. It's great. So yeah, anyway, waffle. Thank you very much to everybody, the patrons, Coffee, PayPal, and you guys for watching, because I know the adverts on YouTube are annoying, but again, generate a little bit of income. See you next week, guys. Bye bye.